So a little while ago, I was showing gratitude on my Instagram stories. I was saying thank you everyone for, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, everything like that with this whole new venture of mine. And I also said, if there's anyone out there that wants to see a specific video, then reply to this and tell me what you want to see. And a DP that I met on Instagram, we're still trying to work together, but his name's Dan, great DP, great work, love his stuff. He said, why don't you talk about investments? And I feel like investments as a whole in this industry is so complicated. And I thought it's a great topic to try and cover, because even though different people were in different points in their career, I still feel like investing into different kit, different things in this industry is always the same no matter what level you're at. Let's start with the obvious. You need a camera and a lens, and the best thing I can recommend for anyone at any level to do is to find your brand. And that's what it comes down to mostly, is personal preference. I loved the Canon lineup, I loved the Canon colors. However, if you do find that you've invested into a camera and a set of lenses, it's never too late to switch. When I first started learning photography, I was playing with my dad's Nikon D5000, and then I went to a Nikon D7100, and then I swapped all over to Canon, and I've stayed in the Canon family ever since. If someone said to me, Rish, I've got $3,000, what shall I buy out of this in terms of kit? I would say, okay, if you're just buying a camera and a lens, then I would say spend about $1,000 on a camera and spend about $2,000 on lenses, because lenses will outlast cameras. Technology evolves so quickly where cameras are being replaced every single year. So if you're going to invest into kit, if you're going to invest into expensive things to start with, go with lenses, because they'll last a lot longer than cameras. And an example of that is my Canon 24-70 and my Canon 16-35. I got those lenses back in like 2014, 2015, and they've only just released a new version of the 16-35. I'm pretty sure the Canon 24-70 Mark II is still the latest version. That lens is now 6 or 7 years old. So you get the point where I'm saying lenses last a lot longer than cameras. And that's at any level of photographer or filmmaker. Get your lenses and get a camera that can take decent pictures, got your megapixels that you're after, it's got a good sensor or whatever, but just try and invest into lenses before spending too much on a camera. The next piece of kit is something not everyone needs, but most people do, is a tripod. A strong, sturdy tripod that matches your style of shooting. So if you're gonna buy a tripod, try and buy something that's got stability and it's well recommended by people in the industry as well. My Sackler tripod that I've currently got my C200 on, it's the Flowtech legs and the FSB6 head. Now that whole setup was, I think, about $1,700, and I know for a fact that sounds expensive. It's probably not expensive to some other people who are watching this, but it's super expensive to other people who are watching this who are starting out their career. This tripod is going to be good for 10 to 15 years. Well, let's say my tripod is $1,700. Over the 10-year span, that tripod is going to cost me £170 a year. I think of my purchases like that. My whole setups might cost a fortune up front, but it's gonna last me 5, 10, 15 years. These are all investments that will slowly pay themselves off. And already all my kit that I've bought and purchased over the years, I've already paid off within a year and a half of freelancing. So it works itself out. If you buy the better kit, your day rate goes up because you've got higher end kit. And the thing is, these rules apply for every single level of photographer, filmmaker, beginner, intermediate, advanced. Once you've got your camera, your lens, and a tripod if needed, the next best thing I would say to invest into is lighting. Now, lighting can be so hard to advise on, so I'll give a brief explanation of it because some people don't need lighting. But if you are one of those people who does require lighting, then I would always suggest speaking to someone who knows about their lights. If you need any help, drop me a shout. I'm more than happy to help. Similar to lenses and tripods, lights will last a hell of a long time. So don't worry if you feel like you're about to spend a fortune on lights, because majority of the time, if you're investing into good lights, into good brands, your lights are going to last you a long time. So a good example of mine is back in November 2018, I think it was. I took the plunge and I was just like, I'm gonna buy some aperture lights because I want to progress in my career. I don't want to have to rely on other people's kit. I don't want to have to rely on little panels and whatever. I needed to get some good kit because I wanted to advance in my career. So I went ahead and bought 2 Aperture 120D Mark IIs, one 300D. So I've got the invoice up from my Aperture order, and I spent £2,742 on 3 lights and a fair few attachments. So let's do this. So my lights were £2,742. So calculator, £2,742 divided by, let's say, 3 years, roughly £914. So I've basically spent 915 quid, let's say 915, round it up, 915 quid on lights per year. For me, for my personal work, that is super cheap, because I know for a fact that I'm gonna be using these lights pretty much day in, day out. But these lights are gonna last me at least 5 years. Or if there's new technology that comes out with lighting that is better suited for me, I can sell these Aperture lights and hopefully not make too much of a loss, but buy new ones. So it's always a cycle of investing, selling, upgrading, investing, selling, upgrading. And that's what works for me. So that's why whenever new lighting comes out, I don't really hesitate in buying it, because when the Aperture Nova came out, I bought it straight away. I'll put my name down on the list and I got it straight away, because that's something that's going to benefit me. It's going to provide me with better lighting. It's going to make my work look better. I think I spent about 1700 on that. So I've already made my money back on that. I've used it on enough shoots where that's paid itself off already. So similar to other kit that I've already talked about, that's the way I think about kit. If it's going to pay itself off, I'm going to buy it. Another example, sorry to waffle by the way, I'm just trying to give my advice and my stories. So back in 2017, 2018, I think, somewhere in that region at the photography show, I bought a Photo B1 location kit, as well as a lot of the modifiers. And that did me justice. That worked for so long. It worked up until a couple of months ago, where my work started going from location into studio and staying in studio. I spoke to a few guys, I spoke to a few people, and they said, maybe look at Broncolor. And I moved from Profoto to Broncolor. A rough estimate on how much I spent on my Profoto kit was about 3.5K all in all. That was like over a couple of years of investing as well. And late last year, I sold that whole setup, that whole kit for 2,700. And when you buy the more expensive kit, it tends to hold its value a lot better. So I only lost really about 700-800 quid. And I'll take that. I'll lose that 800 quid. For 3 years work, I would have made my money back 10 times over on that. And then moving over to Broncolor, I think the whole package itself, I literally just went all out. I was like, forget it. I've worked hard this year. I need this kit. It's going to benefit me. I can work on my portfolio shoots. I can work on client shoots. Eventually it'll pay itself off. I think I bought it all for about 6 grand, but in my mind, because of selling my Profoto kit for 2,700, I already put that 2,700 towards this 6 grand of new Broncolor lights. And even though 6 grand is a hell of a lot of money, my mentality of the whole thing was, it's gonna make me money. And this is what a good investment comes down to. Is it gonna make you money, or is it gonna depreciate? Is this flash, is this continuous light gonna make me money? Is it gonna hold this value? So from those stories, I hope you can take these real life instances where someone who's started, gone up to another level, realized, no, it's still not good enough, I need to go to another level. You can slowly invest into this game, and all you need to do is invest into the right things. Invest into what works for you, what you need. There's always that line that says, someone can watch a bad image with great audio, but can't watch a great image with terrible audio. So the next thing, if you need it, obviously photographers doesn't really matter for this, but for filmmakers, you need good audio. You have to have good audio. You have to have something that sounds crisp. And if you don't, you're gonna struggle. Audio will last a hell of a long time, because majority of the time, you don't need to upgrade audio. You just add to your collection. And I know how it is. Being a filmmaker, investing into audio is not the first thing you want to invest into, or one of the first things you want to invest into. You don't want to think about, oh, I need to make this sound good. You just want to think, I need to make this look good. And lastly, let's talk about stands, clamps, and all that other grip. Very similar to everything else I'm talking about, grip will last a long time, probably last longer if treated well than the rest of your kit. Most of these things are made of metal. If you're gonna put £1,000 light, a £2,000 light, however expensive your light may be, if you're gonna put it on a stand, you need to make sure it can hold and support the weight of your light and your modifier all put together, that it's not gonna fall, it's not gonna break. To conclude though, I will give the piece of advice that I give to everyone who comes to me about kit, and that is, don't skimp out on kit. I know it's expensive and I know it seems like a lot of money now, but like I said previously, you have to look at this long term. If you're gonna buy something, you have to look at this in a way where you have to think how much you're gonna use it in a year or in a month, in a week, or however much. If you can't afford it, save up for it. Work harder, and then trust me, it will mean so much more when you can say that you saved up for something without having to go skin or broke for it. And I feel like this investments video was a great topic to talk about, because even talking about it, I feel like I've learned so much. That's why I feel like it's important to touch on these things. And I'm so glad Dan messaged me to talk about this, because even though it's my first style of video where I'm talking to the camera, I still find it really weird, but even though it's the first time I'm doing this, I feel like I've learned a lot just talking about it and where to invest my money next. So yeah, if you need any help, if you need any advice, drop me a shout, drop me an email, drop me an Instagram DM or whatever. I'll be here to help.